Welcome to Smart Brown Voices, your weekly podcast featuring diverse voices from around the world, giving you insights on how others made it big in their respective fields. Now sit back, grab a notebook, and get ready to be inspired. And don't forget to use hashtag #SmartBrownVoices to share insights, moments of wisdom, and things from the show that inspire you. And now, here's your host, social media nerd and technology activist, Mr. Mike Street.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 85 of Smart Brown Voices. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Street. It's Friday, sometime in May, and I'm actually, here. Tomorrow I'm running the Spartan race again for the second year in a row. So I've been stressing out and working out, so my body is in pain. But we have a really fun guest today who's going to cheer us up and talk to us all about her fabulous career as being an entertainment publicist. So this person I've known for a really, really long time. And so this should be a very fun episode because it reveals many things about myself. Because I remember I met this person. I think I was trying to change my major at the University of Maryland, and she was sitting in the same. We were in the same meeting, and I was like, "Who's this crazy chick that's sitting across the table from me?" So, everyone, please welcome Daria Fennell.
Hey, Mike. Hello, everybody. We've been friends for a very long time.
So, Daria, so tell us how you got started as an entertainment publicist, in this very competitive space.
Yeah, actually, Mike, I started when we were undergrads at the University of Maryland College Park. Terps. I've been doing PR since 1995 when I became PR director of our on-campus entertainment company, C Productions. And my friend Sophia was like, well, Daria, I wrote my first press release, and I'm self-taught. And taught myself how to write my first press release. And Easy Street came out to a student Black woman council meeting. And I was like, that's kind of cool. He came out just for my press release. So my buddy Sophia, when we were at Maryland, he's like, Daria, go out for PR director of C Productions. Why not? And I became the PR director, Mike. And from there, I would do press for anybody who came on campus. I did press for Wu-Tang Clan and that beautiful, beautiful Method Man, Run DMC, Tony Kornheiser, the sports columnist for the Washington Post, Dr. Elise Bias, Lynn Bias's, the Maryland Star's mother. So I started doing PR, and I absolutely fell in love with it, Mike. I loved it. And the rest is kind of history. And today I'm CEO, senior entertainment publicist, celebrity entertainment journalist, and entertainment branding strategist for the Daria Fennell Media Group. Currently, I am co-publicist with Natasha Rennie of Urban Public Relations. We are representing Sean Merriman's clothing line Lights Out clothing that just launched in Atlanta and D.C. And I've just been having a ball lately. I'm also currently writing for Uptown Magazine. And my most recent articles have been on Tawanda Braxton, Music Soul Child, Angela Robinson from the Have and Have Nots on Oprah's own network, and also TV One's movie Media, which is now a series. So that's kind of how I got started, Mike.
Awesome. Well, you've been keeping busy, I see. Lots of good projects.
I feel blessed, man. You've always supported me, Mike, and I greatly appreciate it.
No problem. So what has motivated you to stay in this space?
I love entertainment, Mike. It's not easy, man. If entertainment is something you don't love, run. Run. But I absolutely love entertainment and popular culture. And me and my sister Joy have always been in love with popular culture since we were kids. Our whole family loves popular culture, music and fashion and art. So it's always been something I loved, and I generally just love it because some days it's not always easy. But when it pops, Mike, it pops. Like when it's fun, it's a lot of fun. And I think that's what kind of keeps me anchored in it.
Yeah, no, because you have to have, the network and the connections, and sometimes it's long hours and working with artists who are not the friendliest people in the world sometimes.
Exactly.
But, it's probably also what drew me to the entertainment space. I worked at BET for many years, and I just love the atmosphere, the culture. You get to go on like exciting press junkets and trips. I've been to like all ton of different countries with all different types of artists, and it's really even today I still work in a different capacity, from a more senior position, but I still work with a lot of people in the entertainment space, and you just have to have that passion for it. And, I love Black music and I love Black
Yeah,
culture.
we both have that. Yeah, we both have that in common, Mike.
That's
You
why
know,
we
we love
were,
Black
that's why we
music
were
and Black culture.
African-American
Afro-American studies majors. We both love Black culture and Black music, man. But the whole world loves Black culture and Black music. You know what I'm saying?
So how did
that'll never...
So how did being an African-American studies major like prepare you for now? Because I think to me it was like the perfect major for me, because I had no idea what the fuck I wanted to do.
I kind of agree with you, Mike. I just feel like, honestly, being an Afro-American studies major, just knowing our culture kind of opens you up to other experiences. And knowing our culture as Black people and Black music and creativity opens you up to a lot of other music as well. I just think it made us more open, quite honestly. As much as people like you really think so in something such as segmented as an Afro-American studies major, but I think it actually opened us up and made us more globally minded, and knowing that the Black diaspora goes around the world, and that you can love everybody else when you love yourself.
But it wasn't easy either. It was a hard major. Like, people think,
no, it wasn't
that's like
easy.
A fluff major.
No, no, it wasn't easy at all. And me and you actually had our senior thesis we did as films.
Oh, yeah,
we had to do a senior thesis in our major. So no, it definitely wasn't easy.
Yes, I remember. I did mine on. I did my senior thesis on multicultural suicide. Because I just lost my friend, and so I kind of explored that whole aspect. But I remember shooting your thesis with you, and you did kind of a blaxploitation genre film.
It was kind of blaxploitation, but it was kind of like just a little Black girl, and like some of the things she grew up in our household, like domestic violence and different things. And then like she went through all of that, and then she got older and married the love of her life. So it was kind of like you can have a hard beginning, but then you can end up and be blessed in the end. And that was kind of how I wanted to show it. And like that day was a lot of fun. And I remember storyboarding the whole thing, and it looked just like the way I saw it is the way you shot it is the way it came out. So yeah, it was a lot of fun that day.
But I think for us, we've been able to chart our own courses because of those experiences at the University of Maryland, and being able to have that kind of, I guess, grounding in research, because having an African American studies degree is very research intensive, and you're always looking for facts and the deeper meaning into things, because we're reading a lot of text and books. I remember getting those course packets that were thousands of pages.
Ridiculous.
And just having to sit, having to scan. Kids have it so easy today. Like, we had to sit.
No, we didn't have it that easy, yo.
We had to. I remember standing at the Xerox machine, having to Xerox hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages so I could have the book and not have to pay for it, because as you're a college student, money is scarce.
It's tight.
But yeah, I think those experiences like kind of prepared us for where we are today in our careers, because we know how to research the hell out of something, and we know how to find the deeper meaning in something from so tell us a little bit how some of that coursework that we were doing back in the day has really prepared you for where you're at now in your career.
Yeah, Mike, that's a great question. It's a great observation. But I totally agree with you. The fact that as an entertainment publicist and journalist, I research everything I get my hands on. I research the people I interview. I research my clients. I do research clients. Like, it always helps me no matter what I'm doing. even when I'm writing a press release, I like to know my client. I like to know who I'm pitching to, and it's just going on Google and finding information about what I'm working on, the topics. It makes everything so much easier. And honestly, Mike, I guess I just take for granted how much we were taught to research and to not go off first opinions or first quotes. You know what I mean? Like we always were told to research and look deeper and get the deeper meaning and validating more than once. So I think that serves me well, especially I really tend to, as an entertainment publicist and celebrity entertainment journalist, I only like the positive. I'm not the exploitative journalist who wants to know all about my subject's business that's negative. I only want the positive. Like, why are you an artist? What inspires you? So I think that always kind of serves me going back to Afro-American studies, and that we were always taught it was positive to love our Blackness and respect other people and respect their journey because nobody has it easy. So I think, all of that kind of comes into play into what I do now, Mike. And I definitely just kind of take it for granted how we were just trained well and taught well at Maryland. And I just want to send a shout out to Professor Wanda Williams. That was one of my favorite Afro-American Studies professors who passed away several years ago. But she always blessed me and inspired me. And she said, no, Daria, no matter how many times you fall down on your knees, you got to get back up. And I never forgot that. Mm-hmm. And there have been many times in my life that I've gotten down, but I got back up. So yeah, I miss her dearly, Mike. But we just had so many great professors like Wanda Williams, and sometimes I kind of miss them,
But I think it's they were also really great. Beyond being our professors and giving us work, they were also really great mentors.
Yes,
and I think
definitely.
A lot of I think what I see now in the education system is that things are just moving so quickly is that they don't have time to really mentor every student that walks through the door. So I think we were very fortunate that we were able to have, some of the people that were in the African American Studies department that were able to, kind of mentor, us, because I feel like our graduating class in particular, we all, did very well and were very successful and, were able to use. A lot of people look at our resumes and it's like, well, why does he have an African American Studies degree? But it was like, but when you look at the breadth of everything I do, it's like, it makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, Mike, and I'm very proud of you, bro.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's get back into PR. So so give us some tips for any of our listeners out there who want to enter into a career. Because I know you're a hustler, you're a grinder, you're always out there, pitching for your artist or anyone that you represent, trying to make sure that they get placement and a story to help with their business. But give us some tips on like how to really enter into the space.
Well, first of all, like we said earlier, you definitely have to love it. My hours aren't 9 to 5. My hours are 24/7, 365. So it's like, you always have to be on. That's number one. But to be a really effective publicist, you need to be able to write well and communicate very well. So that's writing well in your emails and letters, communicating well on the telephone. And sometimes, honestly, like I was in my one of my publicist groups on Facebook, I posted the tip. I am an old school publicist who loves to pitch. And what I mean by old school is I'll email the press release, but then 2 days later, I pick up the phone to talk to the editor or talk to the journalist. And that's what makes me so successful is no matter how much technology we have, Mike, human interaction and human connection will never be trumped. And I think that's what the new generation of publicists need to know. It's not about just sending an email. It's about making that connection to the journalist and editor that you're pitching. And number 3, never give up. It's not easy, especially being in the entertainment space. It's not easy, especially being a Black woman in the entertainment music industry space. But you got to love it. Like I said, you have to have that passion behind it. And everything else kind of falls in place. And God is good. That's all I can say about that one.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, so, so for you listeners out there who are thinking about careers and, being an entertainment publicist, it's a lot of
Uh-huh.
hustle. Like Daria said, you got to know how to write. And I think that's probably the biggest one. And then you have to
Yeah,
have a
that's a huge
personality.
amount. Yeah, oh, definitely. You definitely have to have a personality. And also, Mike, let's talk about the thing nobody else ever really talks about in being an entertainment publicist. People like nice people. Be nice. Say thank you. Like you're not curing cancer, dude. Like it's fun. It's not all deep. Like just have fun with it. Be nice, be respectful, and just have fun. Don't act arrogant because that's not going to get you anywhere. Don't have your ego so far up your ass that nobody can talk to you. That's not going to get you anywhere. Being polite and being nice, Mike, and saying thank you and appreciating people has always blessed me. And just be a good person, man. That's all.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, but I think that lesson goes across all of the industries as well.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, of
we
course.
need to make sure that people see that you are appreciative of your services because we ran into tons of evil people
Oh, yeah. We've
across
had our
this
share of evil people in
industry.
the entertainment industry, Mike. We've
Over
been friends a
many
very
years,
long time.
and I'm like,
And we've had some interactions, Mike, that weren't always cool, man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, and this is an off-record story that I won't tell on the podcast, but there's even
Yeah.
people that work in the social media space, and I'm just like, that I've worked with, they just blow my mind. I was like, I just don't understand how this person gets any work because they are so
Yeah.
mean and so nasty, and
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that way. I think it's like,
And like it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's what people understand. You get more abuse with honey than vinegar, man.
yeah,
Like it's not that serious. Like I said, Mike, we're not curing cancer or doing brain science. This is, social media. This is entertainment PR. This is music. These
yeah,
are fun. These should be fun things. I love music. Me and you are diehard music lovers. Like it shouldn't be so deep. You know what I mean? And I think we need to get back to respecting and loving people. I think our country is just a very angry country now. And I'm like, when did that happen? It wasn't like that in the 80s. I know we were kids, but we were much more respectful and much more kind and patient with other people than we are now. And we need to get back to just loving on people because you never know what someone's going through. You have no idea. So you just need to get back to loving people and being respectful and the other thing too, Mike, it's not always about you. It's about helping somebody else sometimes too, right? The first rule of nature is self-preservation, but you always got to look out for other people as well as yourself. And I think once we get back to that, the world will be a much better place.
No, I totally, totally agree. But unfortunately, we have a person in our administrative office who will not be named on this podcast ever. But he's setting a precedent where people feel it's okay to be mean and nasty, and so yeah, I think
But that's
those.
never okay.
No, it's
Yeah, this is
never
never
okay.
that's never okay, Mike.
But I think
This is see.
us that believe in that, we have to just show that there's a better way. And I think one thing that I've heard that people think that is good about 45 is that he's shine a light on like the things that we need to fix, and there's certain people in America who became way too complacent, and
Hmm.
now they're like very activated and ready to to fight. And I was like, yeah, because we have a lot of stuff that we need to fight against for the next, hopefully only 4 years. So we just got to get our shit together.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time in the world. And Mike, I know it's going to sound funny for me to say this, but I will be 44 years old in November. I don't know when I became a 44-year-old almost, but I just feel like, like I said, in the 80s, it wasn't perfect, but we were so much kinder to each other and respectful of each other, whether it's blackness or sexual orientation or disability. Like, we just got to get back to, like, just loving on people, regardless of who they are and where they come from.
Yeah.
Is worthy of love. And I think that's where it's kind of missing. Even on social media, sometimes you're like, is it just for the like, or is it to actually support the person? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, I don't know, we just got to get back to loving on each other.
Well, I
Um,
think
and uh,
one thing that the election uncovered was that there's a lot of people who aren't connected to communities where they feel like they're supported, and I feel like they were able to latch on to someone who they felt was talking to them, because
hmm
the West Coast and the East Coast don't really talk to the Middle Coast, or the
hmm
middle sections of America, uh, in the same way. The East is the East and the West is the West, and then there's all the people in
hmm
the middle, and they felt, I think they felt left out of,
neglected.
yeah, and so they found a charlatan champion to be their voice, and so they were able to disrupt politics. But the pendulum always swings one way and then will swing the other. So I
hmm
think a lot of people are getting up off their butts and getting out there and protesting and donating to places like the ACLU and
hmm
ACT UP and everything else out there in between. So I think it's about all of us just you know, not being complacent anymore and just,
Yeah, not being complacent, actually doing forward action.
exactly. And I think that's where PR comes into play because you are the
hmm
entertainment publicist. But as we've seen in the marketplaces, and this is one thing I wanted to ask you. So we've seen some drama, pretty much over the past 6 weeks. So first it started off with Pepsi and the Kendall Jenner kind of
Yes.
co-opting the Black Lives
Black
Matter
Lives Matter. Yeah.
movement with their crazy commercial. Then we saw Shea Moisture, um,
Totally
come
get
into
obliterated.
play. Consumers were not having it at all. Black women were pissed. So, as an entertainment publicist, would have been your strategy to to talk to those pissed off audience members?
Well, first off, with those situations, the issue is this, is that there's no women of color or really no men of color making those decisions for that advertising. That's number one. Like, we can't engage or speak and be a voice to things that are just totally disrespectful to their consumer base unless we're sitting at the table. And even sometimes when we are actually at the table, we're not using our voice. Our voice is not heard. So I think, one, it needs to be a lot of more people, more Black and brown people sitting at the table of these major advertising companies to help make these decisions. That's number one. And number two, sometimes like my G-mom always says, sometimes you just got to have some common sense. Like, even with the Shea Moisture thing, my thing was, okay, if you want to open up your consumer base, Mike, I understand that, but you can't forget the Black women that started you and totally forget about the sisters in the commercial. Like, open up your base, but don't forget about your first consumer base was Black women with natural nappy ass hair. So it's like, but what I'm saying, like, it's like you can't forget about the people who made you. Like, open it up, but you still gotta respect and give honor to the people who created your brand. Kendall Jenner, that really bothered me as an African American woman because it was just very kind of disrespectful. To like, oh, let's just give Kendall Jenner a Pepsi and make the whole world better. And you and I both know it doesn't work that way. So I was just a little upset the way that they did it. But like I said, Mike, until there are more Black and brown people in the tables at these advertising firms, these huge advertising firms that never look like us, but that always want to, work on products that are catered to us. And so we're at the table. I really don't see it changing much. I think it's going to still be insensitive because when you don't walk in our shoes, you can just make decisions without caring about how it makes other people of color feel because you're not a person of color. So, yeah, I think we have to be at the table, Mike, and we have to be able to be vocal at the table and not just be at the table.
And I think also one thing that I've seen that is troubling to me is that even if you are at the table and you have the opportunity to voice your opinion about the creative, sometimes or most of the times, because I know people that work at on some of those brands, and I know they're of color, and I know that they would have said something, especially on that Kendall Jenner spot, because I would have been like, pause.
Like, no. Like, no.
This cannot. I would have been like, this can't go out. This is just bad. But it's like sometimes even when you have that seat at the table, like the people that are there, they don't even respect you enough to
listen to your voice.
to
exactly.
take your opinion to value and say this is going to be trouble. And one of the agencies that is involved in some of this, I used to work at, so I know for a fact that the numbers are very, very small there. And when you look up the scale at that company of those who are in executive or higher up decisions, there is no multicultural representation to say, hey, this may alienate.
This may not be the best idea.
Yeah. And, I've had that experience recently when I was looking at something for a client and I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. Especially with everything. And I was like, and I don't want to be like overly sensitive Negro person at the agency.
Yeah. But sometimes you need to be the overly sensitive Negro person.
Yeah.
And I think
like
sometimes
they can't see the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sometimes it is that fine line being a Black and brown person, between being overly sensitive or just saying it is what it is. Sometimes it is what it is.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and it is what it is. And sometimes you just have to say, yo, this is not going to float. This is not going to pop. If anything, this is going to backfire.
And so with your clients, how do you tell them, like, so if a client came to you with like a crazy song that they were going to put out or a crazy video, like how would you have that conversation with them and say like, hey, this may, cause some drama for you?
Yeah, Mike, actually, I have no issue saying that. And I'll just go on record. In the last 2 weeks, I've met 2 amazing potential clients, very talented. But I will say this, I've told them, and I'm not representing them, because some of their imagery for their music is just totally against what I believe in. Anything that depicts Black women, in such an exploitative way, no. Anything when you're talking about Black women or just vulgarity or anything that doesn't honor higher power and creator, I can't represent that. And I have no problem saying, look, I'm not down with it. It's not always the most popular stance, because some publicists will just take a check and don't care about the clients that they represent. But I love my clients like family, and I have no problem pulling them to the side and saying, yo, I think you need to redo the song, or I think you need to redo a section of the song, or I think you don't even need to release this song. I'm like, you would never play that for your mom. Don't disrespect Black women and think I'm going to be on board with that. And I never will be. So I don't have a problem pulling them aside and saying, yo, this is not cool. And I'm not working on it.
No, I totally 100% agree. I think like in 2017, like you have to keep it real with your clients and be like, look, this is not good.
It's
going to be a PR nightmare. We're going to be doing crisis management. I've had to add a crisis management line item now to my roster of things that I do, because now people are like, oh shit, we fucked up something and can you come help us? And I was like, well, sure, but I'm going to charge you 3 times as much because now we got to go back and fix. But I was like, if you listen, and that's the key. This is the key takeaway from this episode. People need to listen. And really, like, that's the core of why I started this show, because again, like when I look across the landscape of podcasts and people who are there saying that are, of value for you to listen to, the shows that feature Black and brown people, multicultural people or even guests is very, very limited. And, go to shows like, Tim Ferriss, and you have to search really, really for a long time to find like someone who's African American or Latino who was a guest on that show, giving you
Mm-hmm.
their intelligence. And I was like, and I feel like a lot of these corporations don't value, black brain power, or they have some kind of fear
Mm-hmm.
against it. So the reason this show exists is to dispel that and to say like, hey, all of our knowledge is valuable. So when we say that, this is going to be seen
Mm-hmm.
as racist when this commercial airs, then I want the audiences, the people we're talking to pay attention to that.
Yep. Yep. And it's like, it's kind of hard sometimes because you're like, yo, I see the train going off the track. I'm trying to warn you to bring the train back on the track, but you just let it fly off the track. And by the time, like you and I both know, by the time the train's flying off the track, we're in crisis mode. Now it's not, it's not cool mode. Now we're in crisis mode. But we could have alleviated the situation if you had just listened to the black and brown person that works at your firm or what have you. So yeah, it's and then also too, sometimes you get tired of proving how brilliant you are as a black and brown person. We've been brilliant for many centuries. So I don't. This is not an overnight brilliance. This has always been. So I don't know, Mike. It's kind of like a catch-22 sometimes. Because I'm like, me and my friends are dope as hell. But if you don't believe that, then I can't force it on you.
Yeah, yeah, and that's we still have a lot of work that we need to to do in this space to show. But like they always say, we have to work 3 times as hard to get one time, just to get our just
Yeah.
dues. And
Mm-hmm.
it can be frustrating. And like when I go to
It's very
agencies,
frustrating. Yeah.
I have to look. I'm always looking around a corner. I was like, is there any black people that work up in here? Or if
Mm-hmm.
I go to an agency and I see a brown face, I'll be like, oh, okay. I wonder what that person it was like. Let me figure out that person on LinkedIn so I can ask them questions because
Yep.
again, you want to make sure that you're valued and that and I feel like a lot, we're seeing this now where a lot of companies are struggling to actually keep, minority talent in their ranks because they don't have retention programs or even think about it. It's, so a lot of them are, have a difficult time staying because they don't feel supported, in the work that they do or that people are even listening to them. And I feel like that's why a lot of us go and work at multicultural agencies because we know like we don't have to worry about feeling as the other person or as the lesser valued voice. We can kind of go there and just be. We may not be getting the same budgets that some of the general market agencies might be getting for social or PR or digital, but we can at least kind of just exist and allowed to be smart.
And we are brilliant. And it's like, I shouldn't have to keep proving it. But like you said, Mike, it's kind of sad in 2017 that me, you, Joy, all of our friends and family members are like so brilliant. We shouldn't have to prove our brilliance. It should be just a known thing or just a thing that is assumed. But sometimes it's like, I hate to say it, but sometimes the closed-minded people, I just gotta keep on moving. Like, my life doesn't stop because you're closed-minded, and my blackness doesn't stop shining because you can't see how bright it is. So, that's on them.
Awesome. So Daria, what so give us your final thoughts. What keeps you going and what do you want everyone to take away from this interview?
So first of all, I want to say thank you, Mr. Street. You're awesome as usual.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetheart. But I think what keeps me going, first of all, is my belief in God and higher power. If I didn't believe in God, I would not be here. And I'm just going to be real with you on that. And then number 2 is just very good friends like you and Karen and my sister and people that genuinely and Greg that genuinely love my black ass when I'm doing good and when I'm not doing so good. They keep it real with me and love me anyway. I think that's a part of it. And number 3, I think it's just our passion for what we do, Mike. We love it. It's like fun, like pitching my client, Sean Merriman. Like, it's just fun. It's kind of like a challenge. like who's interested in his product, in his new clothing line, who wants him, you know, what outlet is big, what outlet's a little smaller but really good. So it's kind of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I really just generally enjoy it. And I feel blessed, too, that most of my friends, including you, we're all kind of living our lives, enjoying our lives, and we're not doing, like, the mainstream 9 to 5. Most of us are all creatives, just doing what the hell we want to do. And I think there's something to be said for the people that just kick ass, take names, and don't ask permission. So shout out to us, and shout out to them, you know what I'm saying? And that's it, Mike. And then also, too, I'm just a proud PG County, Prince George's County, Maryland native. And I want to shout out Landover, Maryland, because that's where I'm from, born in D.C., and University of Maryland, where I met the lovely Mike Street. Terps. And that's about it. Terps.
Yes. We're going to have some more Terps on the podcast in future episodes. But if you go back to episode 13, it's like our Fashion Week edition. That's where you can meet Daria's sister, Joy Fennell. And she talks a lot about her life as a makeup artist and some of the stuff that she's been working on. So
Daria, my sister Joy is fabulous. Fabulous, Mike.
So Daria, tell everyone how they can follow you on social media.
Okay, yes. On social media, Facebook is my personal page. Daria Fennell, DariaFennell. On Instagram, I'm at the Daria Fennell Media Group. On Twitter, I'm at Daria F Media. And they can also go to my website, which is www.the as in Daria, F as in Frank, mediagroup.com. And again, thank you, Mike. This has been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. So remember, some key takeaways from this episode is 1, to have fun, 2, listen, and 3, don't wait for permission. Please, if it's something that you want to do, just go out there and do it. So this has been a wrap for our episode. Thanks, Daria, for coming on and representing PG County.
You're very welcome. I represent PG to the fullest.
Yeah, representing those Terps. And all right, so we'll be back next week with more. Like I said, we're powering through. We're gonna get to episode 90 through 100 because when we get to those episodes, we are bringing back all of my favorite guests from the past, pretty much from the past 90 episodes. So we're gonna bring back John Henry because John Henry's been doing a ton of amazing stuff, and I really want to get him to talk about his podcast, which is with Gimlet Media. And then we're going to bring back Paul Brunson, who was the first ever Smart Brown Voices interview, and talk about some of the new TV projects that he's got in the works. So just stay tuned for all of those episodes. They're going to be amazing, and we're going to do them on Facebook Live. So get ready for that. I hope I can lose enough weight so I don't look fat. All right, peace out.
Thanks for listening to Smart Brown Voices with your host, Mr. Mike Street. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends and colleagues. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts, and make sure to follow us on social media. This has been a Mr. Mike Street production. Join us next time for another edition of Smart Brown Voices, and be inspired.